Hello, this is my lovely wife, and she's been spending money on these and some more as well. So you want to tell us about them?
Oh, these are, I went to the local lapidary group and they had a festival where they were selling rocks. And so we've got a few different ones here. We've got amethyst, which is actually from Brazil, this one. It's very beautiful. And we've got some muscovite and some aragonite. This one's from Morocco. We've got some mica, which is actually from the Northern Territory, and some jade and a whole stack of different ones, serpentine, and just some rocks that I collect from the beach sometimes, and a whole stack of different ones that are all beautiful, that are cut in half to see what beautiful things there are inside. And a lovely fossilised fern on a rock, and some
Arrowheads?
yeah, arrowheads, and I know what they are, but I can't think what they are at the moment. And just a whole stack of different ones with crystals in it, and a few others that I've got around.
So you would like somewhere to put them on display.
I would like somewhere to put them on display.
So I've had this great idea.
He has.
This is our lounge room, and this is the wall as you come in. And it used to have a painting up there, as you can see by the stain. But this is my exploratory hole. My idea is to have display cases into the wall. On the other side of this wall, we've got the linen cupboard. So we've got aircon in here, and I'd like to have it so that we don't lose lots of heat. But with the linen cupboard on the other side, that won't, opening up this wall won't make much difference. So that's where I plan. I've done an exploratory hole here, just to have a quick look to see what's in there and what's where. But I'm thinking that I can have either 2 large or 4 smaller areas in here. So we now have 3 holes. Now what you don't see, and what I struggle with in my videos, is this is, well, not 2 full days work, but it's been done over, well, a bit over 2 days. So it took a bit of time to cut those holes out, obviously, and then when I did, I discovered, unsurprisingly, that the noggins were in different heights. So I've got a filler piece in here and a filler piece here, but I cut this one first and took it down the noggin, and then discovered that this noggin was higher, so that was not even. And I took this and I cut this one first, and it came to that point, and then I just cut that one up to the top. Oh, I've actually cut that out a bit more, but anyway, it was crooked. This noggin is completely out of whack, and actually there was a strap across here that I don't think is holding the house up, but a diagonal. So I had to cut this and that and that and this all out and chisel them. So all in all, that turns into quite a bit of work. Oh, and these two, I had heaps of 90 mil, but I wanted under 90 because that was just a little proud, so I had to use the Triton to cut these two down from 70 so that they didn't sit proud. But now I'm going to make these 1050 millimeters high, which is around 4 foot ish, I guess. little under, maybe, no, around 4 foot. Anyway, so this one here is narrower because I've got a bit of wiring in there that I can't take it out to. So, and I think that span's narrower anyway. So there'll be 2 at 400 and 1 at, my beautiful drawing over here, at 330. There. So I wrote 395. They're 400. I want to cut them down a little bit. Maybe 397 or something. So that they'll slide in. But for you, that'll be a couple of minutes. For me, that's a few days. And I watch videos all the time on YouTube and find myself thinking, yeah, that was a 12-minute video, but it probably took 5 weeks. But then I look at the algorithms or the statistics on my videos, and if I make one that's 45 minutes long, the average watch time is 5 minutes. So it doesn't seem like a lot of people want the detail. Mind you, I'm making these videos largely just for my own reference, so I'll put in what I want to see and you can skip it. Anyway, so we're now ready to start. I need to put a 40mm piece in here. So I've got something blocked out to screw to, so inside of here. And then I'm in a position to go and buy a pile of material and start cutting. Made a trip to Bunnings because the shop I'd normally shop at's closed at the moment because it's over Christmas. But there's a pile more than that. But this is the what's going to be the boxes. And I've set up my Triton saw in where the saw's over the top of the work, and I put packers underneath because I've got these stands, but they are 25mm low. So if you put 25mm under the legs, they're perfect. So I will cut these off at 1,000. I'll cut these off at 1,050. I've done a bit more cutting, obviously, but didn't think I'd bother showing all of that. But I have over here 5 each of the top and bottom of shelves, and well, there's 4 of each because I got a set over here. This works quite nicely. I could muck about and get it a little squarer, but broadly speaking, it's within about 1.5, maybe 1/4 mil. I made up these when I got this thing second-hand a long time ago. It was second-hand from a hardware shop where they'd use it as a demo, and I was missing these guards, and I watched all the videos on how to use it and realised it didn't have them. There's little slots, T-slots, well, T-shaped holes here that allow you to knock them in, and with the saw overhead just gives you a very manageable cut. So I've just mocked together the first. This is the narrower one of the 3. And it's all holding together quite nicely. I've got my brad nailer, so I'll get some test pieces and make sure that that's set properly. And I'll get some glue. It's not sitting right there. Yeah, up off there. But I just knocked it together quickly. So I will have a go at checking, making sure the brad nails. I've got 30mm nails and I've got 20mm or 19mm board. So a bit of glue and some brad nails, and that should hold it all together well enough, I think. I've now got the 3 cases made, and that's fine. So this is all set up. Just behind Caroline, there's I had to buy a full sheet, 2400 by 1200 or 8x4 to the Imperial guys. So I got a full sheet and I've got a little over half of that left, but this one's now cut, and I've got this. This is the handy thing about the Triton. It's I guess it's like the Leatherman of sword tables. It can do a heap of things, none of them particularly well, but it does all of them. So I can rip. I discovered that this material here, on this one there's a little step here, and on a couple of the shelves, and I'd assumed that because this was all milled that it would be the same thickness, but no, it's up to 1.5 mil different. So with these ones I ripped them all to the same thickness. When I realised, when I put that one together, and I thought I had it so it was all going to be flush on the faces, and they weren't, I set this up and ripped all of those pieces so they're all the same. Well, that one goes not on that one. Oh no, it does. That was all.
You should move them around.
That's right.
There we go. Perfection.
All right.
Perfection. Perfection.
That's on my last leg. Well, we're getting there now. So I've got the 3 cases made. It was, broadly speaking, went well. Rather annoyed that there's a little crack here and there's a nail, a pin, went the wrong way. It was a bit off centre. I was having fun with that pin punch. I mean that brad nailer. I'll get a pin punch and knock that in. I've cut all of the architrave now. There's a bit of a gap up here, so it's time to do the gap filling. And I countersunk all of the screws that hold it all in. Ripped down these pieces between. This one you can see, I had to sort of split the difference there on the bottom of those gaps, but up the top it's tight. So these are just, there's studs in here that I had to kind of align with. There wasn't a lot of choice. So if you put a level all over it, it's not perfect, but it's, you know, if it looks right, it is right, apparently. The motto with the, this sort of stuff. As a machinist, if it's not right, it's not right. when you're working in metal and you're working with bearings and shafts and things like that. If you don't get it right, it could look perfect, but if it's 0.05 of a mil too small and the bearing's loose, it'll rattle. But on this stuff, you just so long as the eye doesn't see it, that's fairly well. If we look along here, it looks quite in line basically. You can see the second one's a bit of a tilt to the others, but that again is down to the beams. But if you're just standing here and you're looking at it from this angle, nothing looks particularly out of whack. So again, my son's a cabinet maker. Whoops. My son's a cabinet maker, and he has to install kitchens in rooms that are not square all the time. But a huge amount of the skill that he's got is learning how to put square cabinets into a not square room and hiding all of the weirdnesses. But anyway, I'm about to sand down all of these bits. That'll be quick. And then I'll gap those with the ungap them with the no gaps, the gap filler. And then it'll be ready for paint. Here's the final product. So it's one coat of, I did the sanding on all the points where I had the screws, and I puttied, and actually my wife did the vast majority of the painting, and there was one coat of undercoat, two of the colour, or white, and so here's some of her rock collection, which was just and some shells. It was just sort of in boxes around the place, and this one's full of fossils. See down here, all over the place. An ammonite barbite. Anyway, that's a good joke. I've not used it a lot of times, to the point where people are appropriately sick of it. That's always good. Geodes. And so this has been, this is just the first go at arranging them. Fossilised fern, and we got this one just full of fossils up at the Warrumbungles in northern New South Wales, northwest New South Wales. Went up there and checked out their 4-metre telescope while I was there. But now anyone that tells you, like I watched an 8-minute video with someone saying, oh, let's have a look at this project today. We'll just put some stuff in this little covered area that's wasted space. And then at the end of it, she had it all painted with architrave and nice little corner pieces on each corner. And she said, oh, and it took me less than a day. Well, it's unlikely. That's assuming she already had all the timber. She knew exactly what she was going to do. But even painting it, we're not professional painters, but it took about an hour and a half for each coat. Then you have to leave it for, well, it's very humid here at the moment, so we were leaving it 4 hours between coats. So there was over a day in just paint, wait for paint to dry paint. She didn't have any, she just used a drop saw. She didn't show, well, she said she hand cut the back panels that she put on it. But, if you're going to do that, you've got to know how to cut. You've got to cut straight. She didn't show herself fixing them on. I think that, I started building this. I cut the first hole on Monday last week, and it's now Tuesday morning. So the last coat of paint went on yesterday afternoon. So it was a week and a day. Now, I didn't work all day every day. If I'd worked all day every day and worked 12-hour days, I could have got it done in 3 days, maybe 4. But that's pretty stressful. So this is my holidays. So we'd work for a few hours and then go and have some lunch and come back for work for another 2 or 3 hours. But I think that there's, at least 3 big days, maybe a week in this. And I've got a reasonable, I don't have professional gear, but I have a reasonable set of tools. And I'm a fitter machinist by trade, and I'm not a professional woodworker, but I'm familiar with cutting things and getting things square and so forth. So the average handyman, handy person, I should say, the average handy person would not have the tools that I've got and not be as familiar with how to square them up if you're using them and so forth. So don't believe the press. They say, oh yes, and it didn't even take a day. Well, I don't believe them. Even just going to the hardware store and deciding what material you need to buy before you go to the hardware store, and then getting back from the hardware store and realising you didn't buy that set of screws you need. And, you know, if you can do this, well, she did maybe 2/3 of this. She did 2, and they were not quite as tall. But, yeah, even that, you still got to sand it all back between. You know, you put the putty on and she didn't sand it. Well, good luck to you. You must be very good at putting putty on. Anyway, there's my winch. I think that this sort of stuff, when you see it represented on YouTube, is very often not a very accurate representation of what it takes to make these things. But there's our go at it.